Good morning, Wisconsin. Hello, it's me, Justin. Gonna give you a forecast today. A lot to talk about. We're gonna go through it pretty quick. Um, because I'll start by saying on the last video I did, which was for our members only, I did kind of leave the impression that we weren't gonna see too much cold here in the next week or two. The models have definitely come into agreement, and well, not agreement, but they've definitely shown that we're going to see some cold coming into next week. Here's your 7 day forecast, and I'll explain what happened or what I'm seeing and why I've made this switch here on this update. The 7 day temperature forecast is right here in front of you. You're seeing warmer Friday through Monday, so today through Monday. But then as we get from Monday, I would say Monday evening through Thursday, it's more of yeah, that's a pretty cool time. You're seeing that temperature, the dotted dash line, the average high there, that's around 30 for Wisconsin Rapids. Obviously, colder north, warmer south. But you're seeing that high of 5 there on Wednesday would be probably pretty close to 25 degrees below average, which is pretty low. But yes, that's what's ahead of us. It's coming. This isn't going to moderate. I've been waiting for it a little bit because, like I said earlier this week, I thought maybe weren't going to see the cold because the Arctic and the tropics just not totally in that unletting mode to just unleash. But I've learned some things over the last few days. Here is, first of all, before we talk about the cold, let's talk about a storm that's coming in for Monday timeframe. This I will prepare for. I'll create a storm event for this. I'm not doing it yet. I want to wait for the 12Z models, which come out this morning, later this morning. So I'll have a forecast out on the page later today for it, showing this low pressure system, which initially looked like it was going to be further east, has backed up a little bit, but it's still out of phase as it comes in. So you're seeing this pocket of snow up north in the northern on the northern front of it. And then as here's this low pressure system here, as this kicks out, you see things kind of come together in this area more so, but it's kind of out of phase right there. You see, but as it comes together, yeah, you might see some snow kind of building further south into east central Wisconsin, maybe even southern Wisconsin. I'm not sure how much you can actually get to accumulate there as it pulls through. But yeah, so that's an interesting system. Again, it's just a little out of phase as it comes in, so it's not totally together. But we'll have to watch. These can be a little tricky. But yeah, that's the storm. Then after that, you see this big high pressure coming in and settling across this region here. I think the big thing about this pattern is it's not so much going like down towards Florida or southeast United States as much. Yes, it gets cold here, but you're not seeing the records there. I think it's kind of a little bit more bottled up relative to the other outbreaks we've seen of cold lately. And I think that kind of speaks to the pattern a little bit. Here is, well, I don't need to talk about that because I already have it open here. Okay, we're going to go through the MJO, the teleconnections really quickly. Here's the phase two. It's in phase two right now, the MJO, and it looks like it might head towards three, but it's kind of doing loop-de-loops in two. If we look at the temperature tendencies of the MJO in phase two, you're seeing that here's phase two. Typically, it's warmer across this region. Okay, that's what I would be expecting. Now, when we look at this graphic here, it kind of looks like that. Up here, you're kind of seeing a little bit of that. I'm saying but this is just a snapshot in time. This is probably like Friday. This ridge here moves east, and then you kind of get the height anomalies across Wisconsin and surrounding states. But so going back to this, you're kind of seeing that right now. But if we were to head into three, you wouldn't expect to see the cold in this pattern. That's clearly a warm signal there for the tropics. So that's weird. Okay, why are we getting cold outbreaks if we're heading towards a warmer tropical signature? As we go, we're going to look at the NAO, which is a positive NAO right now. If you look at if you can see it, this is here, and it's above the black line, so that means it's positive. Positive NAO typically means we're going to have, let me just check, that's negative, positive, we go all the way up. This is a DraculaWeather.com. It's really useful for the teleconnections trying to understand awesome maps and awesome descriptions of how these things work. Um, I'm more of a visual person, so I love to see the maps because people just telling me, "Oh yeah, there's a trough here in a ridge." Like, show me a map. This is typically so the positive that looks like the negative. Yes, this is the positive right here. Sorry, I got those backwards initially. See, typically this pattern is more of a zonal flow. It's mild across the United States. You typically don't get the cold to burst out of this. Just to confirm, as we go back here, here's the NAO positive. Okay, so again, we've had the MJO saying it should be warm. The NAO saying typically it's warmer. Let's go look at the AO. Now, this is where I think we start to see how this cold outbreak factors into this pattern and why there's an opportunity for this. Uh, you see that we do have a positive AL currently, but as we go into early next week, you start to see that kind of take a sharp drop down. Not negative, maybe a little bit, but then it seems to go back up again. So that signals to me like, looks like we're going to have a shot of something in that time frame, according to the AO, but it's not like totally. If it were negative, then you would see probably the cold outbreak extending further south to Florida. But because, I don't know, this is the way I'm reading it, for Wisconsin, because typically it is cold and typically we get the cold shots up here. So maybe, this AO thing, not totally um, doesn't totally make too much of a difference for Wisconsin all the time. Like, maybe if I live in I don't know, Mississippi or something, then I might be paying closer attention to this. But because our climate is colder, it snows, you know what I mean. So that's the AO and the PNA, kind of in this moderately positive phase. So that typically goes um, when it's positive. That typically allows the cold air to kind of come into the eastern United States, whereas a negative PNA would be more of a wetter pattern with the jet stream kind of cutting through the Great Lakes. So yeah. So, anyways, here's the negative EPO. Oh, here's the thing. We're gonna go back to this because this is actually a pretty good view of what I'm trying to describe. PNA positive. Okay. Over the next few days, NAO positive, and then we have the EPO, which is one I'm watching more closely now. I had a hard time finding data for it, but found it. And it's in a negative phase, dominantly in a negative phase here over the next few days. What the EPO does now, a negative EPO tends to bring that cold down. And the one thing I'm noticing by this map is that if you bring it down, it's more into the center of the country as opposed to the east. Here's the east. So the EPO, you're going to see that in the when I show you the height anomalies, you're going to see a big bulge kind of forming up in here, which induces a response down like this a little bit. So this negative EPO is showing up on the models, and this makes sense. And just to show you the positive version of the EPO, that would be a tendency towards some troughing out here in the west, and a mild pattern across the United States. So, but what we have now is currently this. Okay, what we're heading into is currently this. Okay, so we have the MGO positive warm signal. NAO is typically a warm signal. The PNA is showing a sign of cold possibly breaking out into the United States, possibly. EPO is showing it pretty clearly. And then the AO is having that dip down towards neutral after being quite positive currently. So it's more of a balanced thing. It's not like they're all warm, but some of them now I can kind of see how this might happen. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's go back into this. So this weekend we do have this warm pattern this weekend. It's very short-lived. And then it's replaced by this Arctic blast, which is a response coming down this way. And then, sort of more like this. It's not totally getting towards the equator there. Yeah, and then it kind of sits across this region. And you're seeing those negative height anomalies right across Wisconsin, Minnesota area. And the temperature trends for that same time period showing 10 to 20 degrees above average as a low pressure system kind of moves through too. This ridge kind of slides off to the east. And then it's replaced by this for Tuesday and Wednesday next week. Single digit highs and lows well below zero. I mean, negative 15 ish, negative 10 to 15 for some of us. The one area that seems to be getting hit the hardest is Minnesota. Minneapolis is one area I've seen consistently in the coldest of coldest temperatures. Central Minnesota, I would say better, probably the better, but not specifically Minneapolis. But anyways, yeah, by 20 to 30 degrees below average Tuesday and Wednesday next week, which is pretty cold, pretty cold. And I'll show you the wind chills here in a little bit. Okay, here's the pattern. Let's go back because this is all the way out. This is European ensembles, just showing what we have now. It's not really. These are 5-day blocks, but you're just kind of seeing. Remember when I mentioned the EPO is more of a central contiguous United States pattern. Here it is. You're kind of seeing that here. That's what I wanted to show there. Excuse me. The GFS ensembles. I guess it's probably going to show the same thing. I think totally. Yeah, it's kind of showing the same thing, and then maybe it moves off into the eastern side of the country. We'll see about that. I want to show you a different view though first. I don't know. I didn't have this pulled up ahead of time. I apologize. We're going to look at the height anomalies. I don't want that one. I want this one. This is, okay, North America is a little bit bigger, so Wisconsin's right here if you're wondering. So let's go through it here. That's all the way out. We want to take this all the way back to the start so I can kind of describe to you what I've seen here. So here's this week, and you're seeing those positive height anomalies across the western United States building eastward into Wisconsin, the Great Lakes area. You can see it really clearly. Okay, that's this weekend. This is Saturday at 6 p.m. But then that moves off pretty quickly. And the one thing to note here is what's happening here across the western coast of North America. That's where I've been seeing seems to be the impetus to this. That builds pretty strong. This goes poleward, okay, and that induces a response that goes down like this. It could be the two of them working together to create this response, but that's what's causing this pattern, this cold to be unleashed, and that's a negative EPO right there. And you see, it just gets totally wah here. It goes woo woo like that. Yeah, and that's the cold. Okay, we go through the pattern. You see, the negative height anomalies though are still kind of constrained. They're not. I mean, they are. I mean, it looks like they are. The negative height anomalies do reach down, but I mean, you're not seeing this color down in here as much, or as sort of a broad thing. In my opinion, I don't know. That's just what I've been seeing. I think I've been seeing. And then as we go through, it seems like by next weekend, the models want to move that off and kind of bring things back to more of an average or normal weather pattern. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then as we go through time, it tries to do more troughiness across the east, but not with so much of a western North America negative EPO there. But yeah, it really seems as we go back in time, you can really see that now, this EPO situation, and then as the trough builds down. So, okay, you got that. Now let's go into the temperature forecast because, okay, so the reason, let's take a step back. Because I go through all of these different things, I'm just trying to signal to you, like there's a lot of signals out there, and I think initially what I was looking at was not enough of them, and I wasn't considering the full array. Yeah, so when you balance them all out, you can kind of say, okay, yeah, now maybe there's this room for a polar outbreak. Just things I'm learning as we go through this. But here's the GFS. These are the temperature forecast. Now this is Monday. Now remember that storm moves through Monday time frame, Sunday night, Monday time frame. I think that's what it is. Just gotta double check. Monday is the timing for that storm there. But yeah, and then we go back. So after that storm moves through, the temperatures are going to drop. Go through time here. We're seeing down, 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 and go. So that by the time you get to 6 p.m. on Monday, by the time you get to midnight on Monday into Tuesday, temperatures are really down. This is wind chill, actually. Sorry, I should have specified. This is wind chill. And you're seeing those dipping now down to the negative 20 range almost in Minnesota. Slightly warmer in Wisconsin. but still cooling off as we go into Tuesday. Um, it doesn't really improve too much. The wind chills there on Tuesday, it's staying cold. And then as we go into Tuesday night, that's probably going to be the coldest night of that time frame, with almost negative 40 there for wind chill there Wednesday night into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and that extends over into Wisconsin too. So the forecast that I made for about the wind chill forecast, I tried to take a time frame that was just a little bit um, not as cold, so that you can kind of average out this time, because it's not going to be this cold the entire time, but it's probably going to reach it. So when you take a look at the temperature forecast, actual measurable temperatures, it's negative. It's about a negative 15 to negative 20 degree temperature. So there, and then as we go into noon on Wednesday, a moderation in the wind chills a little bit, but this could go right on into Thursday morning too. I expect it to. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. And then as you go into Friday morning, so this is Thursday night at 6 p.m. Here's Thursday night at midnight into Friday. Um, Seems to be improving in the south for sure. And then as you go into Friday, getting better, but still somewhat on the cold side for wind chills. We could turn over to temperature to see what that looks like too. Yeah, so getting better there by Friday, but I don't know. I'm not going to get too aggressive with trying to move the cold out. I just want to kind of make sure that we're right here at this Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. Just trying to focus in on that and saying, how cold is it going to get? Okay, now this is actual temperature there at Tuesday midnight into Wednesday. Pretty cold. All right, so that's the type of cold. Now, we are reaching into the coldest time of the year. It's not there yet. The coldest time of the year is like last week of January into February. Um, but it is winter now. But the cold temperatures we've seen lately, we've seen burst down to like negative 30 below or 30 below average. When you do that in October, when the average is 60 to 50, that's more like a winter. Like that's like 30 measured temperature. Now the average is 30, and you're still seeing those 30 below average degree drops. So that takes you down to close to zero. Now, if we get this type of thing in January and February, you kind of see where I'm going, right? So that's going to be if the average is 25 degrees with a 30 degree below average. I mean, now you're talking sub-zero high temperatures for multiple days. So the way things are going so far, and winter, I mean, the calendar says winter hasn't started yet, but the way things are going so far, if we keep doing this, it's going to get progressively worse. Okay. And my hope is that, we get all the cold out now so that when we get to March and in April, we can warm up a little bit and maybe go above average. That's my hope. But that's right now, it seems like we got a lot more cold ahead of us. If this is the pattern, because again, going back to everything I was talking about with the temperature, with the MJO and the AO, not totally being yet in that super cold time frame or super cold pattern. When those do get in that, I'm wondering, like, man, this could be really cold. So that's that. Here's a CPC forecast, 6 to 10, showing a big bullseye below average across the Great Lakes. Hey, there's Wisconsin right at the center of it. Sweet. And then precipitation. So when it's typically that cold, you don't get as much precipitation, but still showing above average for most of the country. This could be a stormy pattern for the eastern United States, turning into mid-December. And then as you go to the 8 to 14, still below average across the eastern half of the country. That's their prediction. And then, still wet across. So not too much of a change throughout December, they're thinking. I don't necessarily see a reason to make a change. I don't want to get too gung-ho about the narrative of it being super duper cold yet, because I feel like the pattern's just not totally there yet. Maybe for Wisconsin. So we'll go with what it's showing now, but I want to be a little bit skeptical as we head into December. Okay, that's what I got for you today. I hope this is helpful. I'm working through it the same way you are probably. I'm just trying to do my best here. We're going to talk about today's is this storm trying to get this under wrap. If you can find those, you'll find our forecast in the member forecast area on wisconsinwx.com for this storm coming up later today. Like I said, I want to make sure that the 12Z comes in and I get to see it. I don't think much is going to change too much, but I don't want to have to do that forecast twice. I want to do it once per day. That's my goal. And then so when you wait for the 12Z model, then that makes it better. So that's what I got for you. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys later.